Hey guys, M2 Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Marvel Legends Series 2-pack from the Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest Avengers 60th Anniversary set. This is the yearly anniversary program, and here we have another set that's miraculously made it out to retail, which is crazy because these things just went up for pre-order a week or two ago or whenever it is, and just slowly starting to turn up. Like I already have the Iron Man Model 1. And now here I have the Skrull 2-pack, and they're all supposed to have like an August release. But they're kind of starting to make their way, so it's pretty crazy. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store. Last I know, it was still in stock. But they, I get priority shipping, and it ships out pretty quick. But it's an interesting set. Some good things. It gives people a chance to get the Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. The bad things, it's essentially the same as the previous version. But a big difference. It has a different upper torso, and different from even the 3D render on the box. You can see that the figure uses a different torso. So when they showed the out of package images of Spider-Woman, it was the correct figure, but the box render is wrong. The original that render is essentially the original figure torso, but we get a different torso on this new one. Looking at it, we get some really cool artwork in the back there. Super-Skrull and Jessica Drew, some other Skrulls in the background. We get the look at the two figures there. We see all the accessories that they're going to come with. So the Super-Skrull comes with an extra set of arms, which is pretty cool. We had this same arm in the Super-Skrull Build-A-Figure, but although that one was like a translucent color, here it's just, the stretched out version. The other arm, which is really cool, it's a nice touch. We get an Iron Man forearm, which is pretty cool, and that's kind of new. I actually like the idea of that, something different that we haven't seen before. And then Spider-Woman comes with like the electric hands. We get the two different size wing patterns, and we get the unmasked Skrull Queen head sculpt. So pretty cool. So here on the side of this side of the box, you actually get some artwork showing Jessica Drew, the Skrull Queen, and the Super-Skrull there. And that's the box. So it's all white. We get the Avengers Beyond Earth's Mightiest. It says 60 years of Earth's Mightiest. There's the Beyond Earth's Mightiest logo there. So enough of the box. We're going to take a look at the figures, go over all the accessories, because it's a lot of stuff. The highlight, I think, is probably actually the Spider-Woman and not the Super-Skrull figure, although the Super-Skrull figure is pretty cool. I think most people are probably looking to get that real classic Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, unless I'm wrong in that, but that's my assumption. So we're actually going to take a look at her first, and then we'll go into the Super-Skrull and all that good stuff, and then compare with the handful of other Skrull figures that we have, because we had the Army Builder Skrull figure, and then we had the Build-A-Figure Super-Skrull, so lots of Skrull figures to compare with this one. So let's go ahead and get right into it, and again, starting off with Jessica Drew. Okay, so here's an up-close look at the Jessica Drew figure, and that looks pretty good. The paint apps are essentially the same, but, the difference in technique of how they did things back then versus how they do things now, it's definitely a more clean look on this new head sculpt, and then it doesn't have so much of a gloss in the hair, but it is the same exact head sculpt there. You can see the big difference. The reds are a little bit different. The yellows are different. The new one has a much brighter yellow, and then you could see the difference in the torso piece. It's a very big difference in the torso. I have no real preference over which one is better or anything like that, but it's just, the box render should match what the figure looks like, and unfortunately here it doesn't. I don't think it's worse in any way. If anything, maybe we get some extra range of motion in it. I'll have to look at that. Forward is still like nothing. Back is somewhat pretty good. I'd have to see. I haven't touched this figure in a long time. It's got good tilt. It doesn't come forward. It goes back a little bit, but there's definitely some paint rub and things going on there. They just didn't apply the paint as well. So yeah, I mean, they're essentially the same thing. They'll get the same functionality out of the two. I have no preference over which one looks better or anything like that. They both look fine. Whether they stuck with this torso for the new one or not a big deal at the end of the day for me. But again, just a little bit of difference in the yellows, but essentially the deco is the same. I think one difference is there's no black line on her back, but here on the old figure there was a black line that actually went along her back. But that was it. And then the other difference is, the web wings here, a lot more translucent on the new one, whereas these ones were really frosted white. You can see through them a little bit, but yeah, these ones are more of a clear plastic as opposed to white. And that's really the difference with the two Jessica Drew figures. But this one, the highlight is actually going to be the Skrull Queen head sculpt. So let's go ahead and pop Jessica Drew, her head sculpt off. The head is on a disc hinge. And here we have the Super Skrull head. And this, not the Super Skrull, the Skrull Queen head. And this looks really good. Pop that on there. Look at that. That came out really, really nice. I really, really like it. I'm trying to think now, is the hair the same? The hair is different. It is a different sculpt of the hair, because look, you can wrap around her ear. But yeah, that looks really, really nice. But the way it sits on her head, there's a lot of extra space in there. I wonder if that's designed for the other torso. So I will pop this head on that other one to see if maybe that makes a difference kind of there. But I do think this one looks really good. And then the accessories, you have the web wings out, and then you have the folded in versions, and then you have here her hand, so you kind of have that electric effect. All the Storm figures and stuff came with these, so you can see it's just translucent green plastic, painted yellow for the hand on the outside portion. And yeah, there is the Skrull Queen. So let's go ahead and check out her articulation. Okay, so Varanki, let's see how she can look. So the hair, that little bit of gap, but does allow for her to look down a little bit. You're definitely not really going to get her to be able to look up because of the long hair. You get some rotation in there, not a whole lot because, again, the hair. Not really any pivot going on in the neck. The arms you can get to go straight on out. You get a full rotation in there. Upper bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, so that's a little frustrating that we get an older body. So single jointed elbow with the swivel at the elbow as well. The good thing about this figure also, though, is because it does have the upper bicep swivel, which actually does go a long way. I think that really helps. The diaphragm cut, so she could tilt to her left that much. She could tilt to her right that much. She can go back that much. Coming forward, though, again, is going to be basically nothing at all. You get a swivel at that diaphragm cut. Legs go out that far apart. She can kick forward high, as you can see there. Leg goes back ever so slightly. Upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned knee, because again, this is reused body, so that much bend, which is good. No calf swivel or boot swivel or anything like that. Foot hinges down. A little bit of hinge up, not a whole lot. Ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So there is the Super Skrull. I'm going to get in a little bit closer. I forgot to talk about like the web wings and kind of how we attach those. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure you put them on the right side. So clearly this one doesn't really line up. So that is not the right one. But you have these big cuts in the arms, and then these kind of key right into the arm. So you can get it there, but you want to be careful because they pop out extremely easily. So you really have to position the arm kind of in the best way that you can. You kind of have to get it out, and then you kind of have to turn it away. So it just kind of gets a little tricky when you try to do it that way. You just key in like so, and then she has her web wings there. And then again, she does have the folded in versions, and I'm trying to think which ones go on which arm, and I don't know that it matters. They're definitely not labeled. So let's see. We're going to just pop those out. Pop those out. Let's see. And we can just pop these in. Actually, it would probably be better this way. No, that's not going to work. Okay, so it kind of fits the curve of her body there. So yeah, that's likely how that's going to be working. To fit the curve of her body, to make it, as you put the arms down, it really fits in place. Like, oh hey, there are the web wings there. So we have that. Before I go further, I'm going to see if the Varanki figure is going to fit on there. Although, even looking at this hair, like this hair was even kind of stuck out to allow space But we're gonna pop that off. Oh, so maybe that's the difference they wanted. So the old female body, if you notice, there was no hinge whatsoever. It's a little dusty. It was just a ball peg under that neck. Maybe that's why Hasbro wants to move away from that, because they didn't even bother giving neck articulation on figures before. So, you know, they made somewhat of an update there. Let's see if this even fits on there. Yeah, it fits on there. I was going to say it fits a little too low, but then the hair really fits and matches that torso a lot more. But, you know, I mean, it still allows for a decent amount of movement. I don't know. I don't think it gives you any additional functionality or anything. And I think that, you know, that works. So it's going to be preference if you have this older one, if you're going to want to do that. But this older one, it's just not as good. Like the paint is just nowhere near as good as what they do now. The yellow of the boots, I'm just now realizing, goes up higher also, so you could see that it went into the pin, whereas here they chose not to go into the pin. You know, if we don't have to see the pin all matches in color, then we're good. But you know, that's a decision that they made to probably try and make that look a little bit better. But in case you were wondering, it does work on there and looks pretty good. And just wanted to show you the bioelectric blast out of her hands. These hands kind of fit in there very, very loose. They feel very small also compared to the arm, but they just kind of swivel. They're a little loose in there, and again, come out very easily. But yeah, the bioelectric blast, it's a nice touch, but again, just feels really loose. I mean, you could even see kind of that gap. The hand size just doesn't match this arm, unfortunately. So we're going to pop that off. We're going to put the fist back on there because I think that's better. Now let's go ahead and go to the Super-Skrull Illuminati figure. Okay, so here is the Super-Skrull Illuminati figure because he basically uses the powers of Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, and Iron Man. And they are all well represented here. So you get an arc reactor type chest piece here for Iron Man. We get the interchangeable left arm, which does have the Iron Man forearm and hand. The right arm is the stretched out version for Mr. Fantastic. We get the Black Bolt like inspired design on the suit, as well as the tuning fork there on his forehead. The cape would be for Doctor Strange. So the Illuminati is well represented here, and that is pretty cool. I like that we get the interchangeable pieces. The cape can come off. As you can see, it just pegs into the back of the figure like so. That's just kind of painted. This piece is molded onto this top piece. So basically, this is an overlay piece similar to the Build-A-Figure before. So you had like this piece that has these pointed shoulder pads. That is an overlay piece. As you can see, it's kind of different right there. So it's an overlay piece. So this is a new overlay piece, which has this chest piece being different. So that's kind of the only difference there. But the head looks really good. I like the way it came out looking. The problem with that overlay piece is, you know, when you have this layered look. So on the Super-Skrull Build-A-Figure, that was all one piece. Like the neck was covered, so it didn't matter. Here, with it being the skin tone, the head straight on, you know, it hides it. But when you look to the side, it's like, well, why is that weird layer there? So that's just kind of unfortunate that, you know, it happens like that. The silver here in the paint looks pretty good. The red around this chest piece, a little bit of yellow and white paint right on the inside to kind of give it that glow look. Just a little bit of black there. We get these gloved hands. As you can see, usually you would see like the skin color there. They're just all black. And then Hyperion legs all the way down. Nothing special going on there in the figure. But we get those interchangeable pieces. So how easy is it to replace these arms, to move these arms out? Pretty easy. You just gotta have to yank, give it a good little yank. Get a good grip, pull out, and you can pull those out fairly easily. And then again, you can get the new ones, port them right on in, bam, and bam. They just click in. So here now we have, again, our Super-Skrull that is representing the Illuminati, which is pretty cool. One bad thing here, though, the hinge is green. They didn't bother painting it on this side, but that elbow hinge, they did paint the back portion to kind of match up with the armor, but again, the hinge is still all green, so unfortunately, it still shows in that, and not the end of the world, but definitely it would be nice if that was painted there, because no matter where you move this hinge, if it was red, it would be good. It's that top portion that should stay green. So, you know, unfortunate we didn't get that there. But yeah, this Super-Skrull looks pretty good. You know, for the most part, it's the same body, right? Same arm there, same legs. The hand is obviously different, and then the body, for the most part, is the same. Just this overlay piece is different. Now let's go ahead and check out the articulation. Okay, so the Super-Skrull Illuminati figure, he can look all the way down. The head is on a disc hinge. He can look all the way up, which is great, but then you really see that layer of neck there. Unfortunately, you get a swivel. Oh, man, I got a little cut into my neck. Let me see if we can zoom in there. Yeah, that kind of cut into the rubber a little bit there. Not sure how that happened, so be very careful with that, guys, because that sucks. You get a full swivel in the head, of course. Not really any pivot going on in the head. The arms, you can get to go straight on out. You can do a full rotation, but keep in mind you have these shoulder pads there, so you want to kind of be careful and work around those shoulder pads. Each hand does have upper bicep swivel. They are all fully pinned, as this is a reused body, so we get this much bend with the Iron Man hand, and then the wrist swivel in the fist does have a hinge on there. The stretchable Mr. Fantastic arm can go straight on out as well. Same thing, full rotation, upper bicep swivel, double jointed elbow gives you that much bend there. If you want to look at the standard arms, a little bit tougher to yank out. Get these standard arms in there. Essentially the same articulation. You have the upper bicep swivel, double jointed pinned elbows give you that much bend, wrist swivel, and they do hinge on those fists. Ab crunch on this guy, so he can crunch forward very far, nice and rounded in the back, so it looks natural. He can crunch back a little bit. Those bolts on there are painted all the way through. That's good, like that. Waist swivel. Legs go out that far apart. You can't kick forward that far, which is good. The leg doesn't really go back. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinned knees there. Again, the Hyperion body mold knees, which the Hyperion body, hopefully this is the last figure ever to use it. Calf swivel there in the middle of the calf. Foot hinges all the way down. You get some hinge up. Ankle pivot, pec holes at the bottom of the feet. And there is the articulation for our new Super-Skrull. And he looks pretty good. I actually think I like him like this a lot more than when he has this big ass cape on. Like, this thing is just kind of crazy looking. You want to peg it in the back to make sure it holds in place. It's nice and soft and pliable. It does add some weight to his back, so you just have to make sure to balance. But I guess he is pretty menacing looking, from far away. Let's see how he looks when I swap out the arms again with these ones while he's got the cape on, because that, really completes the Illuminati look, right? And so our Illuminati Super-Skrull. Yeah, you know what? That looks pretty good. That's actually pretty good looking and pretty menacing. So I like the way that came out looking. So solid 2-pack here. Oh, let's do with our scrolls, right? We got to take a look at all our scrolls. Well, let's get the Varanki in here, because she's a scroll. She's the Skrull Queen. So we're going to have her there. We have our Super-Skrulls there. I did get a second Super-Skrull Build-A-Figure, so I could just have like a regular depowered version. So we got this guy here. We've got the Army Builder Hasbro Pulse Pack. So we got that guy, and that set had 2 different heads with it, so I did get another there. So we got another Skrull. So we do have ourselves a little bit of a Skrull invasion going on here. So the Skrulls look pretty great together. Pretty decent 2-pack. You can army build a little bit. Add to your army build. You really wouldn't army build it, because you got the specific Super-Skrull, and then you got the specific Skrull Queen Varanki. But when you add in the other Skrulls, it's nice to see so many and kind of how you would have a display or what you would do with it. But it's nice to kind of have that little bit of an army going. Okay, so I actually think solid enough outing with these 2 figures. If you like the Secret Invasion storyline, or you needed a Spider-Woman figure, this is definitely a good set that you're going to want to pick up. If you want the Super-Skrull figure, he's actually pretty cool. Liking him definitely a lot more than I thought I would. Maybe this is a set that you want to add. If you want to just build out additional Skrulls, this is a great way to do that as well. But everyone's going to kind of be different. I know some people, you know, weren't really interested in the set, wanted to pass on it. You know, they liked the Spider-Woman figure, but already had the, you know, the previous release and didn't really need another Spider-Woman figure. It sucks that the render on the box is different. You know, they changed out the torso. In my opinion, it does not make that big of a difference. I know some people are weird and prefer the shape of this torso, if you know what I mean. To me, I don't really care. That doesn't mean anything to me. You know, this torso right here functions perfectly fine. But again, the box should always match what the figure is, or the figure should always match what the box is. Either way, Hasbro has made this mistake many times. In this case, it doesn't bother me as much. I know it's going to bother some folks. And in some cases, you know, it'll show pinless, but we end up getting pins on the figure, or like Terax, where we got ball joint hips, where the render did not have ball joint hips. You know, those things, they need to correct those things. They need to stop that from happening again and again. And it's a handful of times. It doesn't seem as big a deal some of the times. This one is kind of in that case for me, but again, still should be the same. You guys let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think of this 2-pack. Are you picking it up for one or the other, or both, or however it may go? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. And as always, thank you for watching.